first piece is called Evangelical. Stinging into the gash of practical everyday, these boundaries are an approximation of murmurs, pendulous, and an aspersion cast. Attendant knowledge is instant steepling. What is blasphemous is clicks and tingles, a twinkle zipped into rumor mathematics, or the parenthetical distress, blistered. Anymore is looping in otherwise attics. And initial enough is innocent, weathering marriage moons, a smudge. Never mind the contention and tangents. Density is divulging gadgetry. So crack the latch, sneak the epiphanic. The suspension of tonnage is lucid and stiff, and its ellipsis is sequential mistaking. Opinion is underlined in evangelical. Hinging. Tantamount is wood housing surrender, pitched against sequential anymores, and this volume is a vacancy, a habitat, passing hoax bones and churches. Waiting on the audience, clockwork wanders amidst the filament staircase, while flickers whisk the rafters, nascent columns become cameras. A background, sitters and pinchers blank, the skeleton banister of approximate strolls. Echo is the quickest antique to divulge its dictionaries, its lisp. Or the opposite is an advantaged heft, a temporal cornucopia. Now we sneak one lozenge of knowledge, a petal, into an envelope of graduates. Or the erection is lumbering, lapsed, a doomed variety of oracle, and the shoulder has reworked its knuckles as a remnant, an apparition. This hemisphere, throttling wire commands, diminishes penitence and the nude, and knowledge is poise, an instant rummage through the superficial spine and metal. Meanwhile, the mantle turned to howler and John tripped down the runner, hinging. This is called The Cheese. Ring, Christmas bells, merrily ring, tell all the world, cheese is my king. Bill Lewis, who was my childhood best friend. A distressed heaven is in the heart, poised for passage into the knuckles and pillow. But communism is peevish here, underlined as it is in an electrical red. Do the planks hold up the haven as the links do the frame? Coiled behind the register, a narrow skeleton addresses an itinerary of penitences, blasphemous approximations of grout and gravel meant to be served to a camera as improbabilities. Is the black working in conjunction with the white? The staircase is wandering all over the blank space of the page, and the lesson in this is the wallpaper. Apparitions make gestures toward housing in an attempt to understand their corridors. Is this particular event superficial, or is the wall crying? And if the king were anything but a clouded howler, the seizure of the background would be unnecessary. Though it is precarious, the shoulder twitches when the shade is drawn. Are these tight commands in the manner of controlled density? This is another way of saying chest pains. I'll close with this. This one is essentially the first piece in the book. It's actually the title piece as well. It's called Breach. Laughter sprung into convulsions, an apparition flowered through a sieve. Graduation assumed a hatred. Whistling lips approximated dictionaries. The opposite of narrow sagged, a skeleton knelt beside a churn. Numbering became a reworked lock. Sovereignty swallowed consternation, and seething howled into the breach. This is an account of the moment when parentheses, bored and superficial, became boundaries, commands, throttles, and maudlin memorials to blasphemy. They cornered clockwork, stinging quickly with their quills, and proceeded to sever the electrical deposits it had salvaged. All cancellations were chattering as news of this brainstorm reached the wires and pipes. Could this manifestation of code become more than a semblance of fluorescent attraction? Might the vacancies brought about by this engagement render the winners and mattresses lumpy? And when, if ever, would the gestural erection of attendant elephants result in something other than a simple background? Whatever ended up pitched against the banister, it would have to be thin enough to weather the resin and the axiom too. Precarious, that's how it's been identified until now, but tingling through doorways will soon cease to be enough, especially as God and the other attractors find rhythmic parallels in this plasm. The apparel must begin to speak to the canon, not as a tongue tunneling through its diminishing audience, but as a comb through the pendulous hairs of its enemies. A trill is poised to seize all. Stiffening brings the phlegm up in a panic, and the perimeter flickers in the shadow of noise. Miranda might knowingly make reference to something lunar or the horn of an animal, but I'm content to resume my barrel stare and to conjure nothing of consequence. Thanks. Next we have Vanessa Janowski.